Ryan wrapped his arms around his childhood sweetheart and pressed close, dancing with her right in front of everyone at our wedding anniversary party. I could feel the weight of people's eyes on me, sizing me up, waiting for a reaction. Suddenly, the whole scene felt meaningless. I turned and walked out. Behind me, his voice cut through the music, sharp with irritation. Anna, what are you doing? Don't make a scene. This is embarrassing. I'd spent 3 years playing the perfect wife. I was done pretending. I turned back and raised my middle finger at him. Chapter 1. Ryan caught up to me, grabbed my wrist. This is the kind of night people are supposed to enjoy. Do you have to ruin the mood? You're the one ruining it, he shot back. Why did you suddenly stop dancing? You left everyone hanging. I'm tired. I'm going home, I said. You know how my insomnia is. If I miss the window, I won't sleep at all. My calmness caught him off guard. When he realized I was actually leaving, he followed me out and pulled me toward the car. What about the guests? I asked. I'll take you home first. It is our anniversary, after all. He smiled at me. Once upon a time, that smile alone would have kept me awake all night, giddy and restless. Now, it meant nothing. The moment I got into the passenger seat, I noticed something was off. The seat had been pushed unusually far forward, and the dashboard in front of it was covered in tiny rhinestones, glittering under the light. Ryan noticed my gaze. She likes it, he explained. Says it makes people feel better when they sit here. How considerate of you. The warmth vanished from his face. It's just decoration. Why are you being so sarcastic? I'm sorry. My mistake. Can we go now? The words landed like a punch into cotton, no resistance, nowhere to strike. He froze for a second, then started the engine. As the car pulled away, I saw the girl come running out of the venue, clutching her dress, standing at the entrance watching the car disappear. Ryan saw her too. The tendons on the back of his hand tightened as he gripped the steering wheel. Even I couldn't stand the sight. Ryan, go back, I said. If she can't see you, she'll start crying again. He hesitated, then seemed to find an excuse for himself and pulled the car over. Wait here. I'll be right back. He turned the car around and drove off, leaving me alone. I didn't wait. I ordered a ride and went home. That night, Ryan didn't come back. Instead, Chloe posted a photo on social media, her hand hooked up to an 4. Stomach pain. Luckily you were here. In the picture, a man's hand rested over the back of hers. Ryan's hand. I would recognize it anywhere. His friends flooded the comments. Are you two trying to give the rest of us cavities? So what, the pain disappears the moment he shows up? Chloe, you're not even trying to hide it anymore, huh? Only one comment stood out. Tell Ryan to come home when he has time. I want to talk to him about the divorce. When I refreshed the page, that comment was gone. I let out a quiet scoff. Is that all she's got? Chloe was getting impatient. What she didn't understand was that I didn't even want Ryan anymore. How could I possibly react the way she expected, losing my mind, picking fights, clinging to him? I put my phone away and slept straight through the night. Ryan didn't come home at all. By the time I was having breakfast the next morning, he finally walked in. He looked well rested. I could only assume he'd had a pleasant night. What was that supposed to mean, Anna? He demanded. Did you really have to ruin the mood like that? She was alone and felt unsafe, he added defensively. That's why she called me. I nodded. I know. So, can you sign the papers? I'm in a hurry. His face shifted through several shades, like a palette of anger and disbelief. After a long pause, he said, I won't agree to it. You're Mrs. Carter. You always have been. And you always will be. I almost laughed. If he'd said that to me in the past, I would have cried from how moved I was. Now, it meant nothing. Focus on the road, I said lightly. He blinked, caught off guard, but said nothing more. 2 minutes later, a shrill ringtone cut through the silence. The caller ID lit up the screen, Chloe. I curled my lips in a faint smile. Ryan cleared his throat and answered. Then he slammed on the brakes. Okay. Stay there. I'm coming. Chloe's stomach is acting up. I unfastened my seatbelt. He stopped mid-sentence. Anna, you. Your precious princess isn't feeling well. I get it. I'll get home on my own. Chapter 2. Without waiting for his reaction, I flagged down a passing black car, opened the door, and slid into the passenger seat. Ryan hesitated for only a few seconds before driving off. The woman behind the wheel let out a dry laugh. Anna, since when am I your chauffeur? I can drive for you too, if you'd like. She shot me an exasperated look. I told you before, you'd run straight into a brick wall before you'd ever turn back. And that cheating bastard? You still couldn't let him go. I leaned back and took a slow breath. I've let him go. I'm getting a divorce. The car screeched to a stop at the side of the road. Sophia turned to stare at me, eyes wide. You're serious? Yeah. I'm tired. Being Mrs. Carter isn't exactly a dream job. I'm ready for a different path. Under her gaze, I added casually, I'll help you take over the Carter family. In return, you push Ryan out. Deal? She was silent for a long moment. If I take you seriously, how much do you want? 80% of Ryan's assets. Sophia laughed under her breath. Bold. But sure, if you can actually pull it off. Just wait for my good news. Now take me home. I'm exhausted. She didn't argue. She drove. The whole way back, I kept my eyes closed, seriously thinking it through. My marriage to Ryan had always been a business arrangement. When I was first asked whether I was willing to marry him, I said yes, without hesitation. He was undeniably handsome, and I've always had a weakness for a good face. In our circle, everyone was more or less the same anyway, so I figured I might as well pick someone attractive. At the beginning, Ryan was perfectly normal. But just 3 months into the marriage, he was already entangled with Chloe again. Men, in the end, are creatures of appetite, holding on to what they have while reaching for something else. He thought Chloe was his true love? No. She was simply the next best option. If childhood sweethearts were meant to end up together, they would have. The Carter family knew exactly who Chloe was and where she came from. Ryan just didn't care. After I got home, I ran a bath. To my surprise, Ryan came back. I had just climbed into bed when he walked in carrying a large bouquet and a small box. I took them from him and glanced at the card tucked into the flowers. Signed, M. Inside the box was a lily-shaped brooch. I tossed both aside and turned my back. Ryan's mood darkened. All right, that's enough. I came back, didn't I? Chloe wasn't feeling well. Her family's overseas, she had no one else to call. Oh, I said. Go to sleep. I'm tired. I pulled the blanket over my head. It was like punching into cotton, my indifference left him with nowhere to land. After a while, I felt the mattress dip. His arms slid around my waist as he leaned in close. A faint scent clung to him, gardenia. My stomach turned. I shoved his hands away. Ryan snapped on the light, anger flashing across his face. Anna, what is your problem? Fine, I admit I got a little carried away tonight. But it was just friends having fun. What's the big deal? Can you stop making this into something it's not? I pushed the blanket down and looked at him. Ryan, it's the middle of the night. Can I sleep? You know how bad my insomnia gets. Forget it. I'll take the guest room. I got up and walked out first. Behind me, something shattered, glass hitting the floor. I didn't care. Did he really think I was throwing a jealous tantrum? I simply didn't want to deal with him. Even saying one more word felt nauseating. Apparently, that only provoked him more. Before bed, I checked my phone. He'd posted on social media. So dull and uptight. When do I get to be free? Chloe replied almost immediately. You have me. Don't worry. I tapped the like button and left a comment. Then be free. Moments later, a door slammed somewhere in the apartment. I must have annoyed him again. Whatever. I transferred 30,000, then went to sleep. Chapter 3. Early the next morning, several photos arrived on my phone, intimate shots of Ryan meeting Chloe the night before. With these in hand, I could finally start negotiating on my terms. I went to the office first thing. From a distance, I could already hear people whispering. Last night was the boss's wedding anniversary, and he and Chloe looked like they were made for each other. Oh my god. Anyone who didn't know better would think they were the married couple. Poor Anna, stuck in a dead marriage. She forced him into it with her family's money in the first place. Now it's all blowing back on her. How embarrassing. I let out a soft laugh. The sound startled them. They turned around, and the color drained from their faces when they saw me. I walked over slowly, meeting each of their eyes. Embarrassing or not, I'm still the legal wife worth tens of millions. You'd better pray I don't file for divorce. If I take half of Ryan's assets, layoffs will be the least of your worries. And people like you? Keep talking like that, and you'll be the first ones out the door. They fell silent instantly. I pushed open the door to Ryan's office. Ryan. We need to talk. He was still on the phone, his voice soft, coaxing. I'll have lunch with you later, okay? Be good. He hung up, looking slightly embarrassed. I didn't give him time to recover. I tapped on his desk. I don't care what's going on between you and her. But in public, you keep it under control. If you cross the line, I will too. Ryan's expression hardened again. I tossed the photos onto his desk. Tabloid reporters sent these to me. I paid to bury the story. You can reimburse me. His face went pale as he looked at them. It's not what you think. I had a few drinks. I waved a hand. No explanations. 3 million. He inhaled sharply. The transfer came through minutes later. I let out a quiet breath, then continued, I also want the Mayfair project. He straightened immediately. That brand already has someone in charge. I can give you something else. Fine. Then give me Horizon Media. I settled for the underperforming media company instead. The Mayfair project had clearly been prepared for Chloe, I wasn't getting that. Ryan hesitated only briefly before nodding. All right. I smiled. Don't rush. I have another condition. His face darkened. My photos are worth that much to you? You're not. But the Carter family's reputation, and the company's shares, are worth far more. I leaned back against the couch, studying him. Take a photo with me. Publicly. The company needs stability. We can't afford rumors right now. I lifted my phone. What happened yesterday is already everywhere. Your mother called this morning. She wants us home for lunch. You don't want to get chewed out, do you? Ryan clenched his jaw. I reached out and lightly patted his cheek. Relax. Or it'll look fake. I used his phone to snap a photo of us together and posted it online, then tapped the like button. Within minutes, people were joking in the comments, saying Ryan was showing off his marriage. The rumors outside began to dissolve just as quickly. Then his mother called. I put the call on speaker. Anna, come home for lunch at noon. Bring Ryan with you. Of course, Mom. I'm in his office right now. We'll come together. I held the phone up to Ryan. He had no choice. All right. We'll be there. After hanging up, I looked at him. I have things to do. Don't forget noon. Ryan's fists clenched. I smiled to myself. He was probably already stressing over how to explain all this to Chloe. Don't worry. I'll help you with that. As I walked out of the office, the people who had been gossiping earlier were clutching their belongings, eyes red, not daring to say a word when they saw me. I laughed under my breath. If you don't have the power, don't play dirty. Just as I was about to leave, a sudden force shoved me sideways. I barely had time to react. Crash. A flower pot slammed down exactly where I'd been standing seconds before. Cold sweat broke across my back. I looked up. No one. At that moment, my phone buzzed. A photo came through. The second I opened it, my hand trembled so badly the phone slipped from my grip. Chapter 4. Anna, someone's threatening you? I didn't even need to turn around to know it was Sophia. On the screen was a photo of a dog covered in blood. My dog. I was the one who walked him, fed him, took care of him. The number was masked, untraceable. This wasn't random. What just happened wasn't an accident. I took a slow breath. It's fine. Someone's getting desperate. Sophia let out a tired sigh. And the whole public display with Ryan? Relax, I said. Do you know what I got out of it? She crossed her arms. What, shares? No. But this. I slapped the contract into her hands. Sophia blinked. A media company? It's barely making waves. What's so special about that? I've already lined up a few major influencers. Attention drives everything now. And we're developing short-form, scripted content. I met her eyes. Sophia, fast money wins. Ryan's projects take forever and pay back slowly. What we're building? That's profit. She looked unconvinced, but after a moment, she nodded. Fine. I've got a few film and TV rights in my portfolio. Let's see what you can do with them. I smiled. We headed to the Carter residence together. On the way, I posted a short video, just a casual update that my mother-in-law had invited me home for lunch. Visible to Chloe only. It was her favorite move. I was just returning the favor. When we arrived, Chloe was already standing at the front gate, holding a gift box. Security wouldn't let her in. She was flustered. I just wanted to check on Mrs. Carter. That's all. Please, just let me in. Sophia and I exchanged a glance. Sophia let out a short laugh. Let her in. Otherwise she'll go crying to Ryan about how we bullied her. We're not taking that blame. The security guard at the gate gave Chloe a long, measured look before finally stepping aside. As Chloe walked in, her eyes flicked toward me, a flash of resentment crossing her face. She leaned closer and lowered her voice. Don't think clinging to Ryan means you'll win his heart. What did I need his heart for? I wanted his money. I had nothing to say to Chloe. When I didn't respond, she took it as a win, shot me a glare, and walked straight inside. Mrs. Carter. Anna, you're here. Where's Ryan? Did that boy go back on his word again? My mother-in-law brushed right past Chloe and came straight toward me. She didn't necessarily like me that much. But compared to Chloe, I was still the more presentable choice. I smiled. I ran into Sophia, so we came together. Ryan's finishing up at work. He'll be here later. Then I turned deliberately toward Chloe, feigning surprise. Ryan mentioned you've been getting pretty close with a certain actor lately. Any good news? Chloe's face flushed. My mother-in-law looked her up and down. No wonder you danced so well with Ryan last night. Guess you've had plenty of practice. She let out a sharp laugh. People really do gravitate toward their own kind. Chloe's face turned red, her eyes glassy with unshed tears. Even I was a little surprised. I hadn't expected my mother-in-law to go that hard. Chloe didn't dare argue back, only clenched her fists. Just then, a voice came from the gate. Mr. Carter is back. Chloe's eyes lit up. She jumped to her feet and rushed out. My mother-in-law frowned, clearly irritated. Then she turned to me. Look at you, and look at her. That's your husband. Don't worry, Mom, I said calmly. He's still my husband. He's not going anywhere. She sighed, helpless. Chloe looked torn, glancing between me and the doorway. When Ryan walked in, his face was dark enough to storm. He patted Chloe's hand, then led her inside, immediately turning on me. Anna, are you bullying her again? Who would dare bully her? My mother-in-law cut in sharply. Ryan, get your head straight. This is a family lunch. After what happened yesterday, if it weren't for Anna stepping in, do you think you'd still be standing here without consequences? Chapter 5. She shook her head in frustration. Your father's phone has been ringing nonstop all morning. Relatives, business partners, everyone thinks you're having an affair and the Carter family's about to replace its daughter-in-law. This isn't a joke. If a project collapses because of this, your father will tear you apart. Then she turned to Chloe, her expression cold. And you. After the mess you caused yesterday, I think it's best you don't come here anymore. Chloe immediately lowered her voice. Mrs. Carter, I came to apologize. I was out of line last night. I know that now. If you know you were wrong, then leave. And don't come back unless there's a reason. Ryan bristled. Mom, Chloe doesn't have many friends here. She just. So that means she clings to someone else's husband? My mother-in-law cut him off. Ryan, go to the study. Your father's waiting upstairs. Chloe, I won't keep you. Please leave. That was a clear dismissal. Ryan might have been unhappy, but he wouldn't openly defy his mother. He patted Chloe's shoulder. Go home first. I'll call you later. With no choice, Chloe left. Ryan was summoned upstairs. I didn't know what his father said to him, but by the time lunch started, his face was still dark. Even so, he automatically reached over and put food on my plate. Sophia watched the scene with a faint smile. People keep saying you two aren't getting along. Doesn't look that way to me. Ryan nodded.
Yeah.
Don't believe all that nonsense out there. Sophia gave me a knowing look. Ryan picked up a piece of peanut brittle and placed it on my plate. I raised a brow and quietly pushed it aside. His expression darkened. What? You don't like it? Sophia chuckled and scooped it onto her own plate. She's allergic to peanuts. You didn't know? Ryan froze. Sorry. I forgot. Then, have some shrimp. You love shrimp, right? Sophia laughed again. Ryan, you should pay more attention to your wife. She doesn't like shrimp. She likes sea bass. She picked up a piece of fish and placed it in my bowl. Thanks, sis. Don't mention it. Ryan clearly couldn't sit still anymore. He cleared his throat. Didn't realize you knew my wife better than I do. Of course I do. Anna and I went to the same school. We even worked together in student government. Ryan's face turned a shade darker. I peeled a shrimp and placed it on Sophia's plate. And I remember this is your favorite, garlic shrimp. We exchanged a small smile. Ryan sat beside us with a sour expression. After lunch, he drove me home. On the way, he asked, have you always been this close with Sophia? Nothing special. But now we're family. Of course we should get along. He scoffed. Don't forget, families like ours have sibling bonds, sure, but not much of one. She and I were never close growing up. I understood perfectly. He was jealous of her. Sophia had always been the more capable one. As a child, she'd been groomed as the family's successor. Then she married the wrong man and was pushed overseas. By the time she came back, everything had changed. Ryan had taken her place. She clawed her way back up the company ladder on her own. Ryan was getting more anxious by the day, afraid she'd take his position. And seeing how close she and I were only made it worse. Chapter 6. I patted his arm. Relax. There's nothing between Sophia and me. He visibly relaxed, not knowing what I left unsaid. The enemy of your enemy is your ally. Nothing stays the same forever. When interests align, even old rivals can make peace. Ryan, of course, never understood that. At the next intersection, I spotted Chloe's car pulled over at the side of the road, put up. Ryan immediately stopped and rushed over to her. I couldn't hear what they said, but Chloe tugged lightly at his sleeve, and his face softened in a way I had never seen before. He had never once looked at me like that. A moment later, Chloe noticed me approaching. I'm sorry, Ms. Carter, she said. My car broke down. Would you mind giving me a ride? I would, I replied. She blinked, stunned. Ryan walked over, frowning. You're just going to leave her here. Anna, do you have any compassion at all? You misunderstood, I said calmly. You can stay and keep her company. I'll take your car home. That way, no one has to worry. Ryan froze. Chloe's expression tightened for a split second. I stepped out of the car, walked straight around to the driver's seat, and got in. Ryan, stay here and keep her company. I've got things to do. I'll head back first. Ryan looked like he wanted to argue, but Chloe quickly cut in. Ryan, let's check the engine. The roadside service should be here soon anyway. All right. I'll stay with her. You go ahead. You don't have anything urgent today, right? Spend some time with her. I pressed down on the gas and drove off. Serves him right. Last time, he left me stranded on the side of the road. Now it was his turn. Out here, help wouldn't arrive for at least 40 minutes. The Carter estate sat miles from anywhere. Chloe was probably thrilled, finally a chance to be alone with him. What she didn't know was that I'd handed her that opportunity on purpose. 2 hours later, the internet exploded. A video surfaced, Ryan cheating during his marriage, kissing Chloe inside the car. The footage was crystal clear. Everything blew up overnight. My mother-in-law fainted on the spot and was rushed to the hospital. The moment I got the call, I headed there immediately. Ryan arrived soon after. The moment my father-in-law saw him, he slapped him hard across the face. You idiot. I told you to stop causing trouble. And you couldn't even wait? Making out with her on the street, on camera. What were you thinking? Ryan's face turned ashen. I stepped in, adding fuel to the fire. Ryan, I just finished burying that last photo for you, and now you've done it again. What exactly do you want? My father-in-law whipped around. What photo? Dad, calm down, I said. On our anniversary night, we went to see Chloe. Paparazzi got pictures. I paid to suppress them. My father-in-law nearly staggered. Ryan, do you have any idea how many people in the Carter family are watching you? And you keep humiliating us like this? Only then did Ryan realize how serious it was. Reporters were already gathering at the end of the hallway. I'll handle them, I said. I led the reporters into a side room and gave them a statement. Half an hour later, they walked out, looking at Ryan with open disdain. I watched them leave, a quiet smile in my chest. Then I found Ryan in the stairwell, smoking. I stepped forward, took the cigarette from his hand, and stubbed it out. Be careful. This is a hospital. And I cleaned up your mess this time. Next time, I expect you to remember who you are. Chapter 7. Ryan stared at me. You set this up, didn't you? Why else would reporters show up right on cue? Ryan, no matter how unreasonable you think I am, I wouldn't expose my own family's scandal at a time like this. And how exactly was I supposed to predict her car would break down? If you want a divorce, I'll give it to you. Just don't disgust me like this. I turned and walked away. Behind me, Ryan let out a long breath, watching my back as if he wanted to say something, then didn't. He was right. I had called the reporters. A media company had to be put to use. This was only the appetizer. The fallout hit Ryan hard. The tabloids barely targeted him, instead, they turned all their fire on Chloe, labeling her a homewrecker who had interfered in a marriage. They even dragged up how she'd clung to Ryan and danced with him on my wedding anniversary. Chloe broke down in her apartment, crying and threatening suicide, claiming she was depressed. Ryan was stretched thin, comforting his mother, rushing to Chloe, and still having to face me. I buried myself in work every day. Whenever Ryan tried to talk to me, I brushed him off, too busy, no time, maybe later. After a while, even he understood. I didn't want anything to do with him anymore. A month later, the influencers I'd signed all completed their rebranding. They starred in short-form series, and within 24 hours of launch, the projects generated over $40 million in revenue. The numbers went viral overnight. Everyone praised me, unlucky in love, thriving in business. Sophia stood beside me, giving a slow clap. I have to admit, that chain reaction you set up was impressive. How did you know Chloe would show up? I lifted my phone slightly. She's always competing with me. She believes childhood history can beat everything else. I just wanted her to understand, if Ryan didn't choose her in the first place, then she already lost. Let's not pretend that the other woman is the one unloved. I'm the legal wife. Sophia looked genuinely impressed. You're ruthless. So what's next? Looks like Ryan's trying to come back, she added. Are you going to take him back? I rolled my eyes. No. What about you? You ready on your end? Sophia smiled. As long as you make a move, I'll follow. Let Ryan keep dreaming for now. We exchanged a glance, both smiling. Under my management, the media company surged almost overnight. By the time Ryan realized what was happening, it was already beyond his control. And he couldn't do a thing about it. He had agreed to the transfer, the company was legally under my name now. Just as Chloe was scrambling, playing the victim and trying to salvage her image, I filed for divorce. Ryan was stunned. Anna, you're divorcing me? Over a kiss? A kiss? You slept with her, didn't you? I didn't. He panicked. I felt a flicker of contempt. If he'd just admitted it, I might have respected him a little. Instead, I shook my head. Every time you came home, you smelled faintly of gardenia. I hate that scent. Chloe uses that brand of body wash. So tell me, under what circumstances do you shower at another woman's place and then come home to your wife? Ryan's face changed instantly. You don't need to explain. Chloe already sent me the evidence. She may not be good at much, but she's impressively stupid. She thought provoking me like this would drive me insane, push me out of the marriage. Instead, she handed me proof. Chapter 8. The divorce papers are right here, I said. You either sign them, or we go to court. And when everything comes out publicly, I doubt you'll enjoy what happens next. Only then did Ryan realize I was serious. Rage flared across his face. He grabbed the papers and tore them in half. In your dreams. Divorce is not happening. He slammed the door behind him as he left. I watched his back and spoke quietly. Ryan, it's pointless. Back then, I cared too much. Every time I saw you with her, I'd lose control and fight with you. Even your employees felt comfortable gossiping about me right in front of my face. But I learned something. If you can't hold on to sand, you let it go. No matter how I felt about you, you didn't love me. And I'm done forcing something that isn't there. I'm tired. Let's stop torturing each other. Sign it. It'll be better for both of us. Ryan paused for a brief second, then kept walking. I let out a quiet sigh. This was going to be difficult. If he refused to sign, the only option left was court. I didn't want to drag this out for months. Which meant I had to move through Chloe. She'd attempted suicide and been admitted to the hospital. When Ryan refused to see her, she lashed out, screaming inside the room before I even reached the door. You think you can just throw money at me and make me disappear? Not happening. Ryan and I grew up together, tell him to come see me. He won't, Kevin replied evenly. Stop wasting your energy. Mr. Carter asked me to pass this along. Take the money and leave or go back overseas. Chloe broke down. No. This has to be Anna's doing, that bitch. I knocked lightly. May I come in? The moment she saw me, her face twisted. What are you doing here? I came to talk. I turned to Kevin. You can step out. Let me try. Ryan's assistant nodded and left. Chloe glared at me. Save it. I'm not leaving Ryan. I'm not here to make you break up with him, I said calmly. I'm here to tell you to go after him. Boldly. She froze. Why? Since when are you this generous? Because I want a divorce. And he won't agree. Believe it or not, I already gave him the papers. He tore them up. I walked over and sat down. Chloe, you and I have been fighting for 3 years. 3 years. I'm tired. It's your turn now. Use the momentum. Use the attention. Show me what you're really capable of. Honestly, a man like Ryan doesn't interest me anymore. If you can lock him down, I'll step aside. I won't see him again. Her eyes searched mine. You're serious? As serious as it gets. I value efficiency. I'll give you 3 days. If Ryan still hasn't signed by then, I'll find another way. I stood up to leave. You won't disappoint me, right? After all this time, you're the only one who's ever made him look twice. Her lips curled upward slowly, then she laughed. Don't worry. I'll make sure Ryan can't live without me. I nodded and walked out. Ryan, meanwhile, was drowning. Inside the company, Sophia was closing in on him from every direction, swallowing project after project. On my end, Chloe was pressing him relentlessly about the divorce. Outside, reporters and online critics tore into him daily. He couldn't hold the pressure anymore. 3 days later, he gave in. We went to the courthouse early that morning. Ryan's eyes were red, his face drawn. He looked at me and asked quietly, Anna, is there really no chance left for us? Chapter 9. No, I said. Ryan, for 3 years of marriage, I fulfilled every duty expected of Mrs. Carter. You were the one who betrayed it. I have standards. And now, you're tainted. I don't want you anymore. His eyes filled with tears. He signed. We completed the paperwork and stepped outside. Then, suddenly, he broke down, sobbing, loud, unrestrained. I had never seen him like that before. For a moment, I almost wanted to say something, to comfort him. I thought about it for a moment, then decided against saying anything. The divorce went through quickly. I split the assets and pulled the media company completely out of Carter Group. Sophia stepped in at just the right time, framing everything as the result of Ryan's personal misconduct and the damage it had caused the company's reputation. She rallied the board, called a shareholder meeting, and had him pushed out of the core leadership altogether. Only then did Ryan realize what had happened. He stormed into my office. Anna, this was all a setup, wasn't it? I looked at him and smiled. What setup? Did I drag you into her bed? Or hold your head down and make you kiss her? Ryan, you never understood boundaries. If you loved her, you should have married her. Why come to a matchmaking arrangement with me and ruin both our lives? You didn't just ruin Chloe's life, you ruined mine too. Luckily, I cut my losses in time. Ryan's jaw tightened. No, you still love me. I don't believe you don't. A flicker of disdain crossed my eyes. Maybe I did once. But now, I'm young, I'm rich, I can have whatever I want. Why would I choose you? I clapped my hands lightly, signaling security to escort him out. Later, I found out Chloe was pregnant. She tried to use the child to force Ryan's hand, threatening to go public if he refused. If everything had to burn, then so be it. Ryan's parents were furious he'd chosen Chloe, but he was still their son. They couldn't punish him the way they wanted, so the burden fell on me instead. What they didn't expect was that I had already seen it coming. I moved fast, finalized the asset split, and walked away before they could react. Only after the divorce did they realize how ruthless my retaliation had been. Together with Sophia, I stripped Ryan of his position and took half his fortune. I separated the most profitable projects from Carter Group. Only then did Ryan understand. I truly hated him. Hated him enough to make sure he would never recover. With no other choice, the Carter family took Chloe in. The media quickly caught on, painting her as someone who had forced her way into the family through threats and desperation, hoping to secure her status through a child. Ryan, meanwhile, was already full of regret. The woman he once saw as his moonlight had turned into a burden he couldn't stand. He didn't even give her a wedding, just a promise. She gave birth to a son, then he'd marry her. Desperate to hold on to her place, Chloe clung to him constantly. And with Ryan pushed out of Carter Group, he had nothing left, no power, no position, just her. Distance creates beauty. Without distance, the illusion fades. To make matters worse, Ryan kept coming to see me. Chloe grew increasingly jealous, demanding he make things clear between us. One day, the argument exploded in public. In a fit of anger, Ryan shoved her. She stumbled backward, fell down a flight of stairs, and lost the baby. Chloe shattered. Because of her medical condition, the miscarriage meant she could never have children again. The blow drove her over the edge. She grabbed a knife and stabbed Ryan. He survived, but barely. Just as my short-form series was reaching another peak in popularity, I received a call from Ryan's mother. His condition was critical. He wanted to see me. My first instinct was to refuse. But after a moment's thought, I went. Chapter 10. Ryan lay in the hospital bed, his chest wrapped in thick bandages, his breathing shallow and fragile. The moment he saw me, his eyes lit up. "Anna, you came." I nodded. "I came to see whether someone like you ever faces consequences." He froze, then let out a bitter laugh. "Right. You hate me." "I did," I said. "But now that I think about it, you were never worth that much hatred. There's nothing left of you in my heart. Every time you dragged my dignity through the dirt, I kept asking myself, what kind of man did I ever fall for? Did you ever have even a shred of decency? You married me and still treated me like I was disposable. Why should I have sacrificed anything for you? You never once wondered why I endured 3 years of this. I was just waiting for the right moment. Ryan, never underestimate a woman." I turned and walked out. Ryan's mother was waiting in the hallway, her expression stiff. "Anna, our family failed you." I nodded. "You did. Ryan is your son, and time after time you chose to tolerate Chloe for his sake. Don't tell me you had no idea what her family was doing overseas." "That's enough," I added calmly. "I won't say more. But don't call me again." "I won't answer." Her face shifted, pale, then flushed. She looked embarrassed. I only smiled. The Carter family might have thought mine was easy to push around. I could tolerate Ryan. That didn't mean I would tolerate all of them. In the end, everything settled. Ryan survived and was out of danger. The first thing he did was sue Chloe. She sued him back. Their legal battle turned into another public spectacle, something the internet devoured daily. Watching it all unfold, I couldn't help but find it almost ironic. He had probably never imagined that the person he once fought so hard for would become the one tearing him apart in court. But none of that had anything to do with me anymore. My life moved forward. And we would never meet again. At this point, my love life is a public service announcement. Free of charge.